All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are tackling all that official jargon, all that red tape. We're going to give you the vocabulary you need to navigate the world of rules and procedures. The goal here is simple, to help you feel like you've mastered the system one word at a time.
You know the feeling, right? You're staring at some form or a company policy and it feels like it's written in a totally different language. We've all been there. Well, think of this explainer as your secret decoder ring for that world. Let's get started with the words we use when we decide to just fall in line.
So part 1 is all about the words of compliance. This is about following the rules, both the ones that are written down and, the ones that just aren't. We're talking about fitting in, agreeing, and just generally respecting the way things are.
Okay, first step, compliant. So what does it mean to be compliant? It's pretty straightforward, actually. It means you're obeying a specific direct rule or a request. Like a student who follows the classroom rules to the letter, or a company making sure they meet all the safety regulations. It's a direct action in response to a stated instruction. Now, conformist, that's a different animal. It's much broader. It's less about a specific rule that's written on a sign, and more about giving in to that unwritten social pressure. Dressing a certain way, acting a certain way, maybe even thinking like everyone else, just so you fit in. The key difference here is where that pressure is coming from.
Let's break this down a little more clearly. Being compliant, that's an active choice you make in response to a direct rule. Being a conformist, that's more of a passive acceptance of how everyone else is behaving. So, to put it simply, one is about following an order and the other is about following the herd.
And here are 4 more words that add a little more flavor to this idea. You defer to an expert's opinion, humbly accepting that they know more than you do. You follow a convention, like shaking hands when you meet someone, just because, well, that's how it's done. You act with propriety, which just means you're following the accepted standards of what's considered good behavior. And finally, you respect a community's mores. These are the really deep-seated customs and moral attitudes. See how each one describes a slightly different layer of social agreement?
Part 2. Words of authority. Making and enforcing the rules. Okay, so let's flip the script. We've talked about what it's like to follow rules, but what about making them? Now we're going to look at the language of power, the words used by people who create and enforce the very systems we have to navigate.
This slide actually lays out the whole process perfectly. Think of it like a story. First, the people in charge convene. They gather for a meeting. Then they issue an edict. That's a formal, official order that you have to follow. This new rule will then entail, or automatically involve, certain consequences. And, maybe most importantly, it will proscribe or formally forbid certain actions. From meeting to mandate, right there.
Authority also involves these really formal transfers of power or items. To consign something is to formally place it in someone else's care, like consigning goods to a shop to be sold. And then, of course, you have the ultimate ceremony of handing over power, a coronation, which is when authority is officially given to a new king or queen.
Okay, part 3, words of ceremony and tradition, when rules become sacred. Now, some rules and principles aren't just things we follow because we have to. They're deeply respected, almost holy. This next group of words deals with that place where rules, tradition, and reverence all meet.
Just look at this example. It's perfect. When something is sacrosanct, it means it's considered too important, too valuable to ever be messed with. It's a foundational belief held in the absolute highest regard. It's not just a rule, it's a core principle of a profession, or, in this case, even democracy itself. It's untouchable.
So to consecrate something is the actual act of making it sacred. Think about consecrating a new church or a memorial ground. It's a formal dedication. And a congregation? Well, that's the group of people that gathers for that shared purpose, often to uphold those consecrated ideas or to worship in those consecrated places.
And that brings us to our final section, part 4, words of challenge and change, questioning and overturning the rules. Because let's be real, not all rules are meant to last forever. This part is all about the exciting language we use when we challenge, change, and sometimes completely get rid of the rules.
So, to contravene a rule is to actively, deliberately violate it. You're going right against a direct order. To disavow something's a bit different. It's when you publicly deny any connection to it or support for it. Like a politician trying to distance themselves from a statement they made. Both are very clear acts of saying, nope, not on my watch.
So what happens when a challenge to a rule actually works? Well, the authority might rescind it. This is the official act of revoking or canceling it. The order is just gone. It no longer applies.
Now, what about when a person gets wrongly accused of breaking a rule?
In a court of law, a judge might exculpate them. This is a formal declaration that they are not guilty. It means to officially clear someone of all blame.
But just being cleared of blame isn't always the end of the story. To expunge a record is to take it a step further. It means to completely erase the official record of the accusation ever existed. It's about totally wiping the slate clean. And this slide really clarifies that two-step process. Think of it like this. To exculpate is the verdict. It's the judge saying, not guilty. To expunge is the action that follows, the complete removal of that charge from your record. So first, you're cleared, and then the slate is wiped clean for good. The final word, putting your new vocabulary to use. So, wow, from complying with social mores to contravening official edicts, we've basically gone through the entire life cycle of a rule. You now have a much more powerful vocabulary to describe, to analyze, and hopefully to navigate all the systems around you.
So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. Now that you have the words, what are the rules in your own world that are totally sacrosanct, the ones that are untouchable? And on the flip side, which rules, official or unwritten, do you just wish you could rescind forever? The words are all yours now. Go use them.